everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unscripted. Today, I am super excited to have Chris Neto with me. Now, Chris Neto works at Starin, a Midwich company. Chris, great to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So tell us what you do at Starin, because you've had a really great career, and we will get to that here in a second, but I want to know what you're focused on and what Starin is focused on as a company.
Well, Starin is a distributor. We represent a couple different brands out there that you may have heard of, one being Logitech. But one of the things that we do is we're trying to change the space on the distribution side. We are not just box movers. I think that the world of AV and what our customers and clients have want today has constantly changing and evolving, so we have to evolve with that. My role is a market development manager currently at Starin, and you will see me basically at most of the live events and trade shows, because that's where I kind of do my business. But from a day-to-day business factor, I work with our customers. I enhance our sales calls if necessary. And I say it enhance, it sounds kind of weird, but I can join people on our sales calls and stuff like that. And I'm involved in kind of a little bit of everything from business development with a touch of marketing, with a touch of sales, and then just my experience of being out and about and getting into places that, I sort of found myself after a 20 plus year career that I now am privy to some cool stuff, and I get to see some new technologies and play with them. And so it's good to have people ask me my opinion on certain stuff, but I typically don't do like reviews and stuff like that.
Oh, that's great. And it's like, when it's funny, when I started Logitech about 3.5 years ago, my boss, Simon Dudley at the time, was like, hey, get to know Chris Neto. He's a great guy. He's very, very influential in the AV industry. And that's how we connected and finally got to meet, I think last year, or maybe it was this year at Infocom. But the other thing you do that I want you to kind of give everyone a glimpse of is AVintheAM, because that's done really well. So talk about AVintheAM.
Yeah, AVintheAM started about 6 years ago, and the whole idea kind of just happened by accident. I never wanted to run an online chat. That was never part of my gig. I travel a lot for work, and if I'm not traveling, I'm usually in classes or seminars, or I'm usually knee deep in kind of hands-on stuff, right? But one of the things that kind of happened was I built a following on X, and over time, I would just get up on weekends. I'm a dad, right? My kids were young at the time. I got up and I was making a breakfast for them, and I took a picture of a coffee cup, and I said good morning, and I answered a question about Amazon Alexa and how it would fit into the corporate space. And a handful of people kind of, it wasn't a question directed at me, it was just some random question that somebody put out there, and I just answered it, not tagging the person who did anything. And it spurred a conversation. And this is at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. So I was like, oh, that's weird. So I guess a bunch of dads are out doing getting ready for soccer, going to church, getting ready for wherever they're off to do. But it's early, and it's that quiet moment. The next week, I kind of, that was kind of cool, right? The next week, I took a picture of the coffee cup, said good morning again, not thinking anything. And immediately somebody said, well, what can we talk about? At 8 o'clock in the morning, I never expected to have a following responding, right? So what happens? It grew. The following week, I created the hashtag AVintheAM. The week after that, I went to Fiverr and I got a coffee cup thing done, right? Logo. Why? Because you need a symbol, right? Yeah. The minute you start, building, you want to do that. So you want people to rally around a symbol. It was a coffee cup. It was the most anti-AV logo out there. It was a coffee cup that said AVintheAM 100% organic conversations, or whatever the tag was. And it just grew from there. And we hit a point where we were doing between 5 to 7 million impressions.
Oh, wow.
on a weekend. And the conversations would start at 8 o'clock in the morning on Sundays. I release 5 questions. So during the week, I kind of assemble questions in a topic, or I do mailbag if I have a bunch of them that I can't put together. But typically it's a theme, right? And I do 5 questions. I put it out there as 5 posts, and people just go at it. And they all tag hashtag AVintheAM, and I go back and forth. I used to do a lot more as far as retweeting and stuff, but then I would sit in Twitter jail for getting way too much action going. But it has grown from just being an online chat on X on Sundays to I've brought it to LinkedIn as well. So now I post the questions that I post on X as a recap on LinkedIn for people to see. But it's built into a community. I have a swag shop that sells AVintheAM t-shirts, and I never expected that. And then the wild part about this is, I'm at an event in Madrid, and a gentleman sees me stepping onto a bus, and he goes, "Hey, I know you. You're the AVintheAM guy." And I'm like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "Norway." I'm like, "Man, I'm big in Norway. This is
That's awesome.
This is awesome that somebody actually knows what I do." And you don't realize it, because Twitter for many times, or X as it is now, you just talk into the void or into the abyss, and you get some feedback, and then the followers start, and then you back and forth. It's a community. There's an AV Tweeps community on LinkedIn, and both on LinkedIn and Twitter. But what I did was just create a subcategory of that, and it's a tight-knit group in the AVintheAM people. And I've been very slow to kind of do more with it outside of the chat, but I can't hold back the floodgates. They want meetups, they want podcasts, they want all that sort of stuff. And if schedule permits, that's what I'm going to do.
That's good. That's congrats. I mean, that's great success. And, the social media thing is just interesting to me in general, because, you might hate one platform or not want to do it, or not want to do vertical video, which is the space I'm in right now. At least for now. That's probably going to change very soon. But you've got to meet people where they're at and how they want to consume the content, right? I mean, that's a principle that we have to think through. And there's so many platforms. So, if you want a wide global audience, you have to kind of meet their needs. And I think you met that, really, maybe an accident. And frankly, we've all had very accidental things that have had success. That's great, right? But congrats on that. I think that's great.
Thank you.
So, given all your work in this space, talk about what's happening in AV and broadcast. I know that's just something really a lot about, and you're like knee deep in it. So it'd be great to know what's happening in that space today.
Well, I mean, of all the things that happened in the pandemic shined a big light on the UC space, right? That was UC's heyday, right? You had people that now were at home and they needed to communicate. So all the big cloud providers really stepped up and did a good job, and every hardware manufacturer was turning out better cameras in the USB space, for example, devices that just plug into your computer. The at-home conversation, work-from-home conversation had to change. So at the beginning of the pandemic, you saw this good enough mentality of, hey, I'm just going to turn on my camera on my laptop, the one that's built in, no less. And it went from that to let's upgrade the USB camera and let's do something better. I know that my own personal journey, I started with a handful of small cameras that I was testing, and started playing with that for our online town halls and stuff that we were doing. And eventually I stepped into the world of mirrorless DSLR cameras, right? The mirrorless cameras with detachable lenses and stuff like that. What did that do? That changed the game for me, because now here I am on a Zoom or a Teams call using a high quality camera, and I'm playing with ND filters and things that I went to college to learn about, right? Not so much in the photography space, but in the broadcast TV stuff. And I'm playing with this, and I'm adding lighting components, and my office is now turning into a studio, which is now turned into a storage facility. Hence why I'm sitting outside. But in the world of broadcast, what is hot right now in that space of home studio, corporate studios, is a direct result of being good enough for so long, and now they want better, right? So the standard video call, the face-to-face, the talking head now wants a lower third, now wants graphics. This is like a more produced product. As the camera manufacturers and the UC providers and the cloud providers started providing some of these almost TV-like options, the need and the want grew. And what I'm seeing now is this production environment finally stepping into the corporate space, where it used to cost a ton of money to have somebody come in and set up in your cafeteria or in an auditorium and take up that space and book that space for a week to build the set, to do a video recording of a CEO. People are now taking that in-house. They're using products that are push button control, that they can just record a quick 10-minute video that goes up into a cloud where an editor just cuts snippets out of it. Video first is a reality, right? Not just from a UC conversation. And a lot, when you hear video first, it's usually on let's do a video call, turn on your camera. Yeah. You're now seeing video first in the emails, right? Emails are boring. Millennials don't want an email, right? They want a video, they want a YouTube, they want a TikTok. I'm not saying that this is what it's turning into, but it's getting pretty close. Corporate messaging is changing to 5-minute clips, 30-second clips, 2-minute clips. And all that is being made possible by better improved technology, easier to use stuff. AI is playing a huge space in not just video recording from hey, the camera can follow me around and I can get a pretty well shot type stuff, to AI editing. There's companies out there that are providing AI editing, which will do some basic stuff that you don't have to go out and hire a video, a video editor to come and do. So the time is right with everything as far as like even the return to office. And I hate talking about that. I swore I'd not bring that up, but as that kind of just drags along, you're still connecting back to people, and connecting back to people in a more polished way is what this movement is. Better audio, better video, lower thirds, graphics. Now it looks like not every email needs to be a State of the Union, but you kind of get this like, you know what, we're a real deal company and the video shows it. It's not somebody just recording a cell phone video sitting at the airport. No, there is a place, don't get me wrong, there is a place for raw videos. And there are companies that succeed on that raw camera video of a webcam or a handheld mobile shot being shot somewhere on site. People love that. And I think that's the mentality that's changing. And this is where the broadcast element is being brought into the conversation.
I love where you're going with this, because as you're talking about it, I'm thinking about all the madness that I have done to my lair that became a home office that is now a studio. And there are some things I did by accident, like you talked about earlier. Like when we moved into this house about 6 years ago, I soundproofed my walls and my floors, but I didn't do it for the reasons you think. You might think, okay, there's a lot of noise around, you want to have like crystal clear audio. No. That was for me not to hear my kids scream. That's literally the reason why I did it, because they were really young and they were bouncing their bunk beds and making a lot of noise. Yep. And I had to work all day because I've always pretty much worked from home. And now it's come in handy because I can isolate the sound really, really well when I'm filming, like we are doing right now, right? Yeah. I'm in my home and there could be a dump truck outside. You won't hear anything because everything is really, really quiet. I mean, you hear some of it, but for the most part, it's dampened, so you don't have to do it in post. Mm-hmm. Talk about what companies are doing, because I'm hearing about a lot of this now. Just as an example, and this is not necessarily a product plugin by any means, but we make our own mirrorless DSLR. It's called the Mevo Core, and it was built for streaming, but it's great for podcasts. I'm using it right now. As I've been posting about my journey with Mevo Core, and I've been using the software and the hardware and learning about it, I've been getting, pinged from all over the world by people on LinkedIn saying, hey, how are you doing it? And we're starting to set up this stuff in our office. So are you seeing more and more companies setting up shop and studios and building it all out? And how are they doing it? I've heard some people are building one in every office so that people can communicate, all the leaders located all over the world. So what are you seeing in that space?
So what I've seen is a couple different things. One, I met with a major brand furniture manufacturer who will create little kiosk pods that you can walk in and record your videos. And the video is one button press, so the technology is built in and it goes up into the cloud. And when it's up into the cloud, somebody grabs it, creates the video, sends it back. In less than 24 hours, you have your 3-minute video that you wanted to send out. And it could be anything from HR sending a message out about holiday or some DEI initiative that they're running to just company updates. There's that form. There are and I can speak from experience because one particular company that I recently visited disassembled their UC team. They had an on-site UC team, and that UC team originally was I need to go in and touch the control panel and make sure that the microphones are on. And these are complicated rooms, right? Yeah. And with the rooms becoming very simple these days and being replaced by all-in-ones or sound bars and stuff like that, that video conferencing need of the AV person kind of shifted. So I saw a UC team that was an 8-person team handling 100 and something rooms transition out of that into what is now their broadcast team. And now they employ over 30 plus people that do nothing but edit, shoot videos, put up lighting, take down lighting. They actually ripped apart about 3 divisible training rooms that I built with them. And they ripped them down and built 3 studios that they can completely tear apart. One of them being an XR studio where they have the LED behind and they can beam anybody into any one place, anytime, any place. So it is happening. Now, those are few and far between. People are not every company is dropping that kind of cash into a XR studio or stuff, but they are playing with green screen and starting with the basic. And these are things that when I was in the end user space 10, 15 years ago, these were things that were really relegated to outside companies coming in. And what was the downside to that? You would have to give up a conference room, a portion of your cafeteria, right? Or an auditorium to kind of build this backdrop set, have the proper audio, right? Or try to have the proper audio as best as possible. Now they're dedicating the spaces with the proper lighting, proper audio, acoustics, all the stuff that you need. And you would think it's ABC or NBC or CBS, but no, it's internal, Fortune 100, Fortune 500, and you're starting to see it move out. The prevalence, obviously, of video first, like I said, is a big thing, but they need to connect with younger people that are coming into their careers. Yeah. But these college grads are YouTubers. They learn from YouTube. Yeah. I do, right? I put a TV in my garage. I put a TV in my garage just so I can understand how to fix things in my car. Right? So instead of looking at my phone, I just put it on the YouTube channel on the TV and fix that. It's kind of just a thing. So these videos is what people are going to go for. I mean, just look at the Google search. When you search Google, the first thing that's going to come up are the videos. So absolutely, video is important. And I think finally companies are getting with it. And our integrators that are out there installing products have been pushing video conversations on the video conferencing side, but now are opening up to let's record, right? Let's add more acoustics to the space to dampen the sound. The glass fishbowl conference rooms are a tough one to go over. And I've had some, if we had time, I'd go into this one that I had that was suspended over 50 feet over a ceiling. And to run cable, I had to drop the panels out from underneath it. That was 50 feet in the air. So I needed a high-low. Man, I've been through it all. So I am now very happy to see these dedicated spaces, and they don't take up a lot of space. Right? The right camera, the right lens, and the right person behind that can make anything look great.
I think that is the hardest problem. I mean, you can buy all the gear you want and make it into a fantastic broadcast quality type studio, but if you don't have the right person and the content to deliver the message, it's not going to work. And that's, I think you need to start with the content. What's the message? Who's the person that's going to deliver it? And the rest can come, because you've seen these crazy videos that go viral, and it's one person being authentic and talking about a topic that everyone can relate to. And it doesn't matter. It was recorded on an iPhone, maybe even an old iPhone, right? It doesn't matter. But in some cases, you want to be able to bring your best, right, to work in terms of the production quality. And we can do that now really easily. One last question. I was going to ask you about career development, but I'm going to have you on again, and we're going to talk about that in great depth.
Sure.
Here's the last question. And this is more of a statement, and would love your opinion on it. I ran into a customer, actually, that we were on a panel together a couple months ago at Infocom. And he was talking about how he has built an entire events team from an IT team. And it goes along exactly to what you were just talking about. But they now have intro music, walk-up songs, overlays on the videos, different camera angles. So when they do their own internal meetings, even the regular ones, it's a full-on production. And that takes the stress off the presenter, because they just come with the content, like I talked about before. The polish, the lighting, the audio, and the music in the background all comes from the events teams. I haven't seen many people do this, but I'm starting to wonder if that's kind of where we're headed. You think that's a realistic direction?
Man, I would absolutely go fan crazy if somebody gave me a WWE entrance every time I walked into the thing. I mean, come on. Listen, a lot of the things that are being said these days, unfortunately, are not very good news, right? When news is delivered, it's just bad. I don't bother watching the nightly news. I'll just read it and make my own assumptions on things. So I'll be honest with you, it's great that, maybe you work at a chemical company. How excited are you about whatever chemical they want to talk about? So why don't you add excitement to it? And I think the production of it is a big part of that. Honestly, there's very functional companies that do very functional things, but how do you get your people excited about what they're doing, right? And the good motivator, good leader has that charisma that can do that. Can it be helped with a little bit of broadcast production, some cool music and some cool lighting? Absolutely. Some cool graphics? Absolutely. Not everybody's camera ready, right? But what this does is, if it puts them at ease and you see their authentic self come out, you want to be able to connect with the leadership in your companies. Or if you're interviewing and you get to see a video of somebody, I'm like, man, I want to be that person, right? How many studios that or camera shots or video, they weren't even video, they were in-house, like in-person town halls, where the CEO wanted to be Steve Jobs. They wanted a big LED wall behind him until they heard the cost that 10 years ago. Like, dude, that's prohibitive, right? But everybody wanted to be that. Everybody wanted to stand there with a big graphic behind them and introduce this product. And watching somebody like a Steve Jobs run a company with that charisma and that ability to get up there as the nerd who actually won over fans, if he can do it, anybody else can do it, right? Yeah. So everybody kind of wants that moment. And I think that it's now becoming financially possible to do it as spaces are being rethought of and re-looked at. Again, going back to the return to office and how things are looking these days. It maybe not cubicles, but now you're starting to hear studios pop up. So as somebody who was born and raised in that broadcast TV and radio production background, I love this, right? And as a fan of WWE, I absolutely want pyro going off if I'm going to go on stage. I'll be the freaking coolest,
it's a little extreme,
man.
But it's doable. It's very extreme.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, this has been great. It's been great. There's so much more we can talk about, but we're going to do another show. We'll have you on again. But thanks for sharing your perspective on the industry. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me.
Awesome. And that's it, folks. That's another episode of Unscripted. See you next time.